Hello everyone and welcome to another maintenance notice, and today I think this is what pretty much all of you have been waiting for. It is the very exciting, finally here after being teased about 10 days ago, Xenogears raid. And I know that a lot of you have been super excited about this, so I'm not going to rain on your parade much. Okay, now that that's over with, let's talk about this. So this will be happening on 420. Go ahead, make all your pot references you want, but this is still pretty awesome one way or another, and no, it's not just a pipe dream. So we will be going through and getting the coins to pull on the raid, and of course we will be getting new items and accessories. Those accessories, not terrible, not great. First of all, the things that you can get from this with the materials, there we go, couldn't think of the word there, are clothes that has 20 attack stat, 34 defense, and 20 spirit. So that's probably our big one that you can only make one of, but that's actually pretty decent. An accessory that gives 20% to HP and defense. Yes, I would like a couple of those potentially for a tank. Well, if I didn't already have better stuff. Anyway, let's not get dragged down here. And materia that you can either get that is 20% attack or 20% magic. Pretty damn decent, all things considered, and this raid will be going till the 30th. After that, it will be done, but hopefully by then you will be able to get what you want, and we have a little cute raid unit. You know, a lot of people are not necessarily happy to see that this guy is the free one, but given what the lineup was probably going to be of characters, hey, at least he got in, and that is Choo Choo. Choo Choo is a 3 to 5 star. His materia TMR is a 10% wind and earth, nothing super special, but it could be useful in the future. Limit burst AoE damage, he has a single target heal, AoE defense up, and single target raise. Honestly, nothing special, but a collector's thing to be sure. And there's our materia that I was talking about. Isn't that great? But of course, what would be a new banner and a new event without banner units? And, you know, Alan was pretty much where I exactly expected them to be, to get 3 units. Now, maybe the units were a little bit different from what you thought, but I was very much expecting to see Faye on this ever since we got the, the advertisement. We pretty much knew Faye was going to be here, but we also have Ellie, Bart, Emeralda, who I'm not super familiar with, and Ricardo, or Rico. These are our banner units, and of course, as expected, Alum is going to definitely be pushing the 5-star bases, 3 of them this time, so 3 brand new ones. It's not the worst banner I've ever seen, but yeah, this is going to be a little bit stretch. If you are a collector, you may be spending more than a bit of money. Also, apparently BlueStacks doesn't want to load it. Hey, there we go, we got it. I think I'm figuring out BlueStacks. I'm becoming one with this piece of shit. Anyway, Ricardo. Ricardo's TMR is a 15% to HP, attack, and defense materia, and that's actually kind of okay. If you were looking for some extra HP and defense on your attackers, this might just be really damn decent. It's not super great, and the unit himself, his limit burst is a self HP and MP heal, and attack defense up, single target damage and confuse, single target fire damage, single target earth damage. Nothing that special, nothing that great, but the TMR might be okay. It will probably at least get one of them. Next up is our 4 to 6 star base, Emeralda. Now, Emeralda, I think I'm pronouncing her name right. TMR is actually pretty decent. It is a 40% magic materia with % MP recovery per turn. And given that there are some mages that would particularly benefit from getting extra MP back per turn, this is good. This is very good. I really like this unit, if nothing else, for her TMR. And that could be the case, because her limit burst is AoE wind damage, single target wind damage from her normal abilities, as well as AoE fire, single target wind damage, and imperil, and a W ability. Only one of the same kind of ability can be chained, so similar to Valkyrie profile, where the units are basically comboing, but it makes this unit a little bit more interesting. Now, next up is, now, the thing about this guy is basically whenever I hear Bartholomew, I think of Spaceballs because of that one joke in it. But anyway, here's Bart. Now, I guess he was Bartholomew. Anyway, let's not get wrapped up in that. Bart's TMR is a whip 135 attack with a % physical damage versus machines. Machine killers cannot be underestimated, and so while whips I would definitely not consider to be the greatest of weapons, given that there have been more just general attack ups, this guy, that could be a potentially really good TMR. And speaking of really good TMRs, let's talk about this guy's super TMR. His super TMR is a materia, 60% attack, limit versus fill rate up, and physical and magic damage up versus machines. This is amazing. This is amazing for hybrid units as well as amazing for any physical damage units. It's not tied to a specific type of weapon. It's a 60%, it's a limit burst fill rate up, and it's extra damage versus machines. So if you hadn't beaten Omega yet, the super TMR would be amazing. It's also whale bait. Moving on. Now, about Bart himself. Bart himself, his limit burst is AoE damage and a defense and spirit break will kind of depend on basically all of the percentages here. Now, in his kit, he has an AoE Earth damage and Imperil. He has a single target Water nuke with a self HP and MP heal, High Tide, and in 7-star, he has a single target Limit Burst Gauge add and Wind Imbue, which that means he could probably cast it on other units. So if he's casting, if he can give a wind element to a unit, that's potentially super interesting. That's really interesting. And if he's limit gauge adding too, if it's just to himself, it's less interesting. But if he can actually just naturally kind of hand out wind elements, that might be big. He also has an AoE MP refresh, which won't be a big deal if you got Folka. So, I mean, more MP is always better, especially in long-term fights. So this unit might actually be really, really good. If nothing else, his TMR and super TMR seem super good. And here is quite possibly just the heartthrob of the banner and probably the unit I'm the most interested in. So first of all, her TMR is a rod, 32 attack, 120 magic, but an extra 20% magic. So that's kind of a big deal. That's a really nice TMR, I have to admit, just because of the extra percentage of magic bonus. Now, its stats aren't particularly that great compared to some of the other rods you can get, but those rods are super TMR, so I may just be talking to the whales in the audience. Now, her super TMR is also incredibly interesting. Super TMR of a materia that is 60% fire, water, wind, and earth resistance. That's a lot of earth resistance. And 60% magic when equipped with a rod. This super TMR is just super. It is super. It is super awesome. I love this thing. This is a really high magic boost as well as elemental resistance. It makes your mages stronger and makes them more durable. Nothing else to say here. I love it. Now next up is her Limit Burst, which is an AoE damage and self-magic buff. And I'm really curious about the self-magic buff. This girl might be just insane, and I'll tell you why. Because she is a magic attacker, she also has an AoE wind damage and imperil. She also has a damage ability for imperiling for fire, water, and earth. So, wait a second, this is sounding familiar. What's next? She has a W ability. Okay, so she can double cast her abilities. I've heard this before. Where have 7-star AoE Winds Stacking Magic Nuke. And last but not least, an AoE Fire, Water, Wind and Earth Imperil, Self-Refresh, and enables Quint ability. Wait, this is fucking goddamn CG Sakura. No, really, this is CG Sakura. This is potentially this might be better than CG Sakura in Totally On. It depends what her wind magic is, because CG Sakura's Thunder stacking ability, which is incredibly useful if you watch my last night's stream, is particularly beneficial because it can just, it is single target. So single target attacks are normally stronger than AoE attacks. Then again, CG Sakura came out a long time ago and Xenogears is a popular thing. So why not make a popular unit? But all her damaging and imperil abilities, as well as her wind stacking magic and Quint, meaning that she can 5-cast her abilities, makes her sound a lot like CG Sakura. I really want to see the data to see just how strong all of this is, but needless to say, this might be just the most impressive unit. Pretty damn easily, too. And last but not least is the leading man himself, I think. It's been a while. Faye, or Faye if you would prefer. I noticed the extreme attention to name detail on the Reddit thread. It's almost like Nasta is super excited for this. Anyway, Faye's TMR is a materia that gives 20% to attack and defense, and % MP per turn, plus an extra 30% attack when equipped with clothes. Since we like our units, well, depending on who you like most of your units to be wearing clothes. 20% attack plus an extra 30%, so 50% attack, 20% extra defense, and % MP per turn. That's actually really, really good for a whole bunch of units, particularly units that burn through a lot of MP. His TMR is very valuable, I think. Not necessarily for anyone who's equipping heavy armor, but for anyone else, yeah, that's good. That's good. Now, as for his Super TMR is clothes, 1200 HP, so that's a lot of extra HP, really. 30 attack stats, 25 defense and spirit, and an extra 50% attack when equipped with Knuckles. Now, let me just say this. I really like the Super TMR, but it is so dependent. It basically either implies that you either have Faye, Preesh, and Preesh is kind of an outsider on that one. Basically, Tifa or Faye are the only ones that I could super recommend this Super TMR for. The extra HP, the stats are nice, and the extra 50% attack is just super great, since either of these units will be equipping Knuckles. Now, as for his Limit Burst, it is single target damage, plus Fire, Water, Wind, Earth, Light, and Dark Imperil, and enables triple cast for 1 turn. That's a lot of Imperils, so I'm not expecting the Imperils to be much more than maybe 50%, but we'll see. He is an attacker. He is a single target damage nuke, single target damage, and refresh. W ability, and in his 7-star he gains a large self, all stats buff, limit burst gauge up, and can triple cast. Now really, when it comes to Faye, it's going to depend on him, what he has, because it doesn't sound like he gets... He's either going to have, I think, true dual hand in his kit, or he's going to need dual wield to be absolute. He doesn't have, dual wield naturally by the sounds of it, which is a bit of a disappointment because, you're probably going to want either dual wield or true dual hand for this guy. Whereas L probably is the easier one to build. Bart might be our first true dual hand whip. I have to say that Faye's going to be the one I think that really depends on his data. Now let me explain what I think. I think Faye is the one I'm the most nervous about because while he can imperil all of that stuff, I really wonder if he can take advantage of it. Elle sounds like just the most solid bet. She sounds like CG Sakura. Not necessarily CG Sakura 2.0, but CG Sakura nonetheless. And Bart is probably maybe the most exciting, just because we haven't seen a really good whip user yet, and wouldn't it be cool to see a true dual-hand whip user who can do just a massive amount of damage. This might be the unit that nobody is necessarily expecting to be the most amazing, but actually turns out he is. So speaking of this, we will be getting rotating banners. So for the first 2 days, we will see Faye, Emeralda, and Rico on a banner. Then the next day, we will... it's done. My water is... well, it's done sucking water out of the air for the day. Next will be from the 23rd to the 25th, Ellie, Emeralda, and Rico. Sorry. Kingdom Hearts trailer a couple days ago. Brain must still be there. From the 26th to the 28th is Bart, Emeralda, and Rico. And for the last 2 days, from the 29th to the 30th, will be Faye, Ellie, Bart, Emeralda, and Rico. Now, it doesn't specifically say the rates, but most likely what it will be is 2% for the featured unit and 1% for the non-featured unit. Now, something to note particularly about these banners is that they are not, the rainbows are not guaranteed to be this collaboration rainbows. That is not the case. So if you're thinking, hey, I'm just gonna throw a whole bunch of resources and get tons of rainbows from Xenogears, that is not true. You can get off-banner rainbows on this. At least that's what we have heard right now. But what is interesting here is, well, basically none of this. Wait. Can I not find it? Where is... There's one little extra piece of data that was pretty damn interesting. And, is this it? Nope, that's Arena. Perhaps it's in here. I remember seeing it, I just, for the life of me right now, can't remember where I saw it. Ah, never mind. I went right by it like 6 times. Derp. Say hello to the new ticket campaign. And this campaign could end up sticking depending on how well it goes. First of all, for doing a 5k Lapis pull, so every 11 pull that you do, you get 1 FEB, which is a limited ticket. Now, specifically, it is a Xenogears limited ticket. This cannot be saved for future collaborations and then used. Now, if you get 5 of these, you can use the ticket to pull 1 Faye, 1 Ellie, or 1 Bart. Now, basically what that translates to is for doing a 25k Lapis on these banners, you will get at least 1 unit. And more importantly, you get 1 unit of your choice. Now, at least that's the way it sounds. Now, it could be that it's still random, but I believe the way that it is exactly worded will be that it is your choice. Now, for one thing, I think this is potentially good because at the end of a full step up, it's essentially random. You could end up with anything. This gives you the choice. So if you go through your 5 pulls and then you get, I don't know, maybe you get 3 Fays, then you obviously know which one you probably want to choose. Unless you were hoping for an Ellie, in which case you probably want an Ellie. Now, this is also interesting because it's not limited. You could essentially keep getting FEB tickets, and for the low price of, well, let's do the calculation. So, let's say you wanted one of these units, 7-star, plus their TMR. Well, assuming you get no rainbows, and I know that's an outside chance, but go with me on this. That means that for the low price of about 100k Lapis for each character, you could have all of them and their super TMRs for only 300k Lapis. What a bargain! So, I don't really know how I feel about this limited ticket system. For one thing, choice is always good. Choice is flexibility. You may not necessarily get what you want if you're just wanting to spend, but it is a bit of a safety net to make sure that you can get at least maybe something you want, which is a big deal because we don't know when the Xenogears will be coming back or if it will come back in the future. But it also kind of gets rid of a lot of the other benefits of the step-up system. Increased rates, trust moogles, guaranteed even the 4-star base to some degree is valuable. So I'm not really sure how I feel about this. I'm interested in it. I see the benefits, but I also see the bad things about this too. So it's really hard to say whether or not I super recommend this. Basically, my recommendation will come when I see the data and see what the units is. Since I'm not super interested in Fae, if I am going for anything, it will probably be L, and yeah, it'll probably be L. So I at least have a couple of days to decide if I want to do it. You guys, on the other hand, well, if you want Fae, you just have to wait and see what I think of the data. So it is a 5-hour maintenance, which is kind of weird because it's only the raid event as well as the banner being added and some bug fixes. So me thinks that there might be something else going on. That's right. 5-hour maintenance for just a raid being added seems a little suspicious. So the data could also be super interesting because we're probably going to see some stuff maybe for Golden Week get leaked in the data mine. We'll wait and see. That's just my guess. But anyway, that is everything from this banner. I hope you're super excited. You Xenogear nuts you. Looks like we have some at least and probably just 3 really decent units coming out, as well as just a bunch of cool stuff. And at the end of the day, that feels pretty good. So yeah, look forward to it. Can't wait to see how much you guys are spending, and hopefully you'll end up getting some rainbows out of all of this. So that's all for now. I will see you in the next video.